In its quest to provide an open forum for discussion of controversial issues, this station allows hosts and their guests to express themselves without any significant censorship. You are advised that any view expressed by the host or their guest are not necessarily the views of the owners or management of TogiNet Radio, Togi Entertainment, or the Owners Group, Inc.
Motherhood Incorporated proudly presents Military Mom Talk Radio, live on TogiNet.com. Co-hosted by Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Back, the owner of Motherhood Incorporated. Military Mom Talk Radio is here with a powerful platform for women to discuss their ideas, issues, and concerns with respect to the military lifestyle. Military Mom Talk Radio encourages you to share your experiences of being a military wife and mother. This show is dedicated to educating your family about the resources that are available in both the public and private sector. And we'll be sharing helpful information from women around the world. We'll cover everything military, from helping a family member cope with post-traumatic stress disorder, to navigating government programs dealing with family issues, to the struggles of deployment, along with being a working mother, both in and out of the home. This is Military Mom Talk Radio. And here are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Back.
Hey, military moms. We have got a great show today. Super fun. It's just amazing the people that are out there doing outstanding things. And I'm here, Sandra Beck, with my co-host, Tina Gonzalez. Tina, how are you this week?
I'm good, Sandra. How are you?
Good, good. We had so much fun on last week's show. So for those of you who missed it, it was a really powerful show. And we got to hear how Tina got dumped in the ocean. I don't know, that was kind of one of my favorite parts. I thought that was pretty funny.
It was funny. My husband, I had him listen to the podcast, and he was like, "You told them?" And I'm like, "Yep, I told them. Everybody knows that you left me in the ocean with the sharks."
Well, yeah, not only did the Marine do that, but now it's our show is up and available on iTunes. So anybody who wants to hear about Tina getting dumped in the water and go boo to her husband, which is actually a very cute story, and he's a great guy, so we want to make that clear. But we are up and available on iTunes if you want to go to Military Mom Talk Radio. You can also go to militarymomtalkradio.com and pick up our podcast from there, and live stream on TogiNet, which you guys are listening right now. How are we doing on our Freedom Dogs? We've been promoting Freedom Dogs this month, which is a service organization that takes rescued animals, trains them with a wounded soldier, and pairs them so that the service dogs can help them do things like, push the laundry button, pick up things. Tina, how's your service dog? How's your Freedom Dog doing?
She's coming around. It's hard. She's a puppy, so Richard's more so working with Charlie, who is one of the main dogs, and he is learning, new things every single week to bring home to our cute little puppy. It's difficult when you have a puppy that all she wants to do is play, but she's coming along. She surprises us every day with how patient she is. So, yep, she's doing good.
It's important, I think, these Freedom Dogs, when soldiers are injured, we have a record number of injured service members coming back, as the technology gets better with medicine, battlefield technology gets better. So we're getting a lot of people coming home, that need these service dogs, both for, to help, to assist somebody who might be, have a head injury, they might be missing a limb. It helps with their mobility, but it also helps with their depression and, the adjustment part. But what you're talking about is you guys are adjusting. There's a point at which these Freedom Dogs, you guys are training them, so they really do work hand in hand with the soldier and the family, or the Marine, in your case, the family.
Yeah, definitely. Richard loves his dog. He loves, and then to be able to train America so that she can be, not only to help him while he's out, but also to be a family member. That's awesome, too.
That is.
Yeah, I love it. I love Freedom Dogs.
So what are we going to do this week to support Freedom Dogs? We're going to go to Pepsi Refresh everything. We're going to cast our vote and find out if I think it's June 30th is the deadline, isn't it?
Yes.
June 30th. So you guys, we're only asking you to get out and vote. We're not asking for money. We're not asking for much time. It takes about 15, 20 seconds to get onto the site. Type in Freedom Dogs at Pepsi Refresh, refresheverything.com, and select Freedom Dogs, because there's a $250,000 award, and that's going to go a long way to help our military families. It's going to help our animal rescue advocates, because we give dogs not only great homes, but we give them training so that they can be an active member of a family and a service dog, and it's just the greatest program. We have Jeff Worthington here today, and he is the CEO of Worthington Media, and he has put together this amazing YouTube competition, and it has to do with World War II veterans and pairing World War II veterans with service youth, actually, youth that are interested in participating in a program with the generations that preceded them, specifically the World War II veterans. We have Jeffrey Worthington. He's the founder and CEO of Worthington Media, and he has done this amazing project, the iHistory Project. And it's a national grassroots campaign designed to engage high school students in preserving the stories of World War II veterans. And this is such an important project because every day, approximately 850 World War II veterans pass away. And every time we lose one of these American heroes, the story is lost. And this is a huge part of our heritage as, Americans. It's a huge part of our history. And I really think, and, obviously, Jeff agrees with me because he's putting this project together, that this has a significant importance to future generations. But these veterans, they pass away, and sometimes they don't share their stories with their families. They don't share their stories with their friends. And there's certainly, if they do, there's very few of them that have actually recorded their stories, either, written them down or maybe, videotaped some, of their experiences, or even shared them with their family members. There's quite a few people that have been involved in this project that haven't been able to share their experience with their friends and families. So what's really tragic is that these stories die with the World War II veterans. And, these stories are so amazing. And, when we get Jeff on the line here, we're going to be able to have him share some of these experiences that he had. Tina, are you back?
I'm back.
You're back. Okay, we got one. Do we have Jeff on the line? We do. Jeff, are you here? Okay, well, we're going to keep going here. There we go. Oh, my gosh. So, slow start, but we're going to have a strong finish.
All right, absolutely.
Absolutely. Rock and roll. Okay, so I just blew through a whole bunch of stuff about the iHistory Project, but what I didn't talk about was the iHistory competition on YouTube. Can you fill us in just briefly your vision of the YouTube competition?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, Sandra, as well as Tina, if she's still here. And if not,
I'm here.
Please convey my gratitude for both of you having me on the show and for the listeners for listening in. And, I'm really excited about the program. And you wanted to know some more details about the competition itself. And the competition will be this fall. Submissions will be available for 2 weeks in September. And, we're basically wanting high school students to go out, interview World War II veterans, send the original unedited interview off to the Library of Congress so it can go on permanent record. And then we at iHistory Project will be providing downloadable, royalty-free music and stock footage that the students can then download from our website and use that material to create a 3 to 5 minute mini documentary that they can upload to our competition on YouTube.
That is so amazing, Jeff. And when we come back, we've got a few minutes before we go to break, but now that I have you live and in person, I can't wait for our listeners to hear all about you as a person and, the adventure that you've gone on in just creating this history project. I mean, it's one of the most innovative programs that I've seen in a long time to engage, our kids, the youth of today. And, part of Motherhood Talk, Military Mom Talk Radio is spreading the word about really great programs like Freedom Dogs, like the iHistory Project, And, I want to say to you in front of everybody that I just think what you're doing is outstanding. I mean, you put your heart and soul into this project. You've put your own blood, sweat, and tears and money, all these things you've brought together to honor our World War II veterans. And I know there's some, talks of things coming in the works that we're going to talk about, towards the later part of the show, about different aspects of where the iHistory project is going to go. But, my hat's off to you. I think what you're doing is amazing.
Well, thank you. Amazing. Thank you very much.
And Tina, we're going to give we're going to give a plug quickly to Freedom Dogs before we go to break. We want you guys to pop on, go over to Pepsi Refresh, refresheverything.com. Go sign up quickly. They're not going to send you a bunch of spam. We've already tested it out. We want you to get on there, cast your vote. It's free. It costs nothing but a few minutes of your time, but it could make all the difference in the world to a wounded service member coming home, getting this service dog that can be part of their family, like Tina said, and gives you that great opportunity to do your part.
Are you a military mom? Looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? That's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Tina Gonzalez. And we'll be right back after these. Girlfriended is on TogiNet. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, with your hosts Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. This show is your chance to share, learn, laugh, and connect with other women. The Girlfriended principle was born out of loss.
Lisa had recently had her mother pass away from cancer, and my mom was murdered. A man just walking into a room and started a 23-second shooting spree.
I think one of the things we both realized going through those tragedies that you can be extremely okay and be extremely sad.
Check out girlfriended.com. And then be a part of Girlfriended, the radio show. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, they don't totally understand that emotional side to women like another woman does. And I think that's so important just to have somebody that you go, she gets me.
Check out the website, girlfriended.com. Don't miss Girlfriended with Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. What's your story? Are you living it? Well, you could be. It's What's Your Story with Hillary Bilbrey. Friday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Her passion is helping others discover, create, and live their personal brands. Yep, you heard me. You have a brand. No different than Coke, Pepsi, or Nike. You are a walking, talking, living, breathing brand. You're not a logo. You're not a tagline. The choices you make become the path you take. This is your brand. Now, live your story. Your brand is not just what you say it is. It's also what others say it is. So what are you communicating? And how can you create an authentic brand? We'll take on these challenges with What's Your Story? Every week, Hillary will feature teens, moms, and organizations that are learning and living their story. Now, her passion is to help others discover, create, and live their personal brands. To find out more, go to inspiredbyfamily.com. It's What's Your Story with Hillary Bilbrey. Friday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com, covering topics to help on the home front, with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sail at the BX. Now, let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Beck.
Hey, military moms. This is Sandra Beck coming to you live with Tina Gonzalez. Tina, we've got some good news about Freedom Dogs.
Yes, I believe we're rolling over to July. I was reading some of the comments, and right now we're ranked at number 78. That's awesome.
That is
so
great. I think we were 95 or 98 last week.
Yeah, we were rolling through the 90s all last week, and we did some good work. We got listeners that have been. That's awesome. Excited.
You know it. So everybody get out there, vote. You can vote once a day. You can make a difference. We ask our servicemen and women to go over there, lay their lives on the line, to put their families, at risk of losing them. I mean, military moms, you know what I'm talking about. Get on the, get on the internet, go to Pepsi Refresh or Refresh Everything. Go to Freedom Dogs, vote once a day, and let's make a difference. Let's really work hard to get this $250,000 sent over to the Freedom Dogs program because it is awesome. How's that for a plug?
I love it.
Shameless plugging. Okay, speaking of shameless plugging, we have my good friend, Jeffrey Worthington. He's the CEO of Worthington Media. He has such an outstanding project. And I know I talked a little bit about it in the first segment, but for those of you just joining us, we have the iHistory Project. And Jeff Worthington, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, there's kind of a lot to tell, but,
we got a whole 45 minutes.
Well, that's kind of the point of the project is everyone has a lot to tell. And, we want to hear other people's stories. But about myself, I really got interested in film and theater back in high school, and have always had a love for history. And so that pretty much slowly developed over time and in college. And I wanted to go to film school 5 years ago, and was ready to go. And someone started suggesting that I do something for veterans. And so I started researching and trying to find out, okay, what is there a need for? And that kind of launched myself into doing a World War II documentary, which were in the final months of production, thank heaven. And that's been an amazing process and amazing learning curve. And it's basically a World War II documentary for high school students, and we present the veterans in a lot more of a personal way. We present them as young men, straight out of high school and college, and they had girlfriends, they played sports, they were in school, and really focusing on the similarities. And so I started that back in summer of 2005, and then a couple of years ago I realized that, well, this is good, and it'll pique teenagers' interest in World War II, but we really needed something more, something to get them, out there with a veteran one-on-one. And so had a series of brainstorming sessions with myself and some friends and family, and this is pretty much what we came out with, and really started pushing the project just about a year ago. And since then, we've been met with absolutely tremendous support from whether it's branches of government or military, private or public corporations and nonprofits. All have been very supportive, and I'm excited to be able to see this get off the ground.
That's amazing. I mean, it's so much work. It's been how many years in the making?
Well, the documentary is 5 years in the making, and this YouTube project has really been about a year in the making.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
It
and
is.
You're doing this for posterity? What's the motivation behind it?
Well, the motivation is kind of personal for me, because back when I was in junior high, there was a man who I really respected as kind of a second grandfather, and he had been in World War II, and he and his wife invited me over to come and hear their story. And I really wanted to, because I love history. But, at 12 or 13, people, as someone in junior high, you think that people live forever. And it wasn't too long before that veteran, before he got cancer and passed away. And it took him very rapidly. And so I never was able to hear his story on how he had stormed the beaches of Normandy and fought through France and actually liberated his wife, his future wife, from one of the concentration camps. And so that experience of losing someone's story and never getting it has always been, the driving force.
Well, that's really important because, there's so much that happens that, years past we haven't had the ability to record other than, writing things down, and then we had the advent of, kind of tape recording and video recording. But, there's really no excuse with today's technology. It's so affordable, that these stories can be recorded, and they're so amazing. I mean, Jeff, you've just met some outstanding people, in doing your documentary For the Love of Freedom and doing your iHistory project. I mean, can you tell me just a brief overview? I know there was the Navajo Code Talker. I mean, there's some really amazing people you've met.
Yeah. I mean, the Navajo Code Talker, we were the first to videotape his story, his was an amazing story on how he grew up in a boarding school and was punished every time that he and his friends were caught speaking Navajo. They could only speak English. And when the war came, and he joined the service, and he heard about he heard that the U.S. Army and Marines were looking for people that spoke Navajo, and he was absolutely elated that his language was going to be used in order to save American lives. And he never hesitated to sign up for either the Army or volunteer to be a Navajo Code Talker. And he has a lot of amazing stories along the way as well.
That's amazing. I mean, to be able to record the Navajo Code Talker, you're the only one who's had that experience with him ever in his lifetime.
Correct. Yes. In order to have a video interview of him, it was something, because he really, really appreciated that, and that evening we spent with him is something that I will probably never forget.
Well, and what's amazing is, you look at, when I first heard about your iHistory project, I thought, oh, this is nice, what a great way, to get kids involved, because, I'm all about, children's charities, but then I started to really think about it. It's like, this really transcends a lot of things. It's not only multi-generational, because you have, in your contest, you'll have, a high school student interviewing, a World War II veteran who could be the age of their grandpa or their great-grandpa. So we've got this neat thing going on. But, you have this benefit of the service person also being heard, and sometimes being heard before they pass away, because some of the people that you've interviewed have passed away. Is that correct?
Yes. I would say probably about a fourth or maybe a little more of the veterans that I've interviewed for my feature-length World War II documentary have passed away in the last 5 years.
That's amazing. So you're really, time is of the essence for a project like this.
It is. It absolutely is.
So you've got your Navajo Code Talker, and you also, your project is also beyond the scope, too, of just people who have fought in the war, right? Is it just limited to the people who were active service members? Could they have been serving in a different, area of the military? What is the criteria for your veterans? Or is it just anybody who was a veteran in World War II?
For this year's competition, the requirements is that they will have had to have been a service member, a member of the military or the Merchant Marines or Coast Guard, and or Holocaust survivors. We also want to be able to interview this year as well. However, for our competition for either next year or year after, we're still in the planning phase right now, but we're wanting to be able to open it up to anyone who was alive during World War II, in order so we can really get a great cross-section of America, from factory workers to people that were involved in scrap collection of scrap metal, or, people people that remember the bells ringing in rural American towns when we won the war.
It's just, every time I hear this, I get chills. I just think it's so important what you're doing, and I want to direct people to your website right now, the iHistoryProject.org. You can see the iHistory Project World War II. We're here with Jeff Worthington. He's CEO of Worthington Media. He's put together this amazing World War II documentary, For the Love of Freedom. He's also had this super idea of having a YouTube competition where youth go out and interview these people from World War II. They put it up on YouTube. There's a competition. It's so great. It's so powerful. When we get back from break, I'm going to have you guys check out his website, and we're going to talk more about how you guys can participate.
Are you a military mom? Looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? That's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Tina Gonzalez. And we'll be right back after these. Here comes Motherhood Talk Radio, the most powerful voice in women's issues today, with Sandra Beck and Christy Holly. Tuesday evenings at 6, 5 Central, part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com. Motherhood Talk Radio provides a powerful platform for women today by giving interesting, inspiring, and inspirational information to mothers around the globe as they navigate everything from child care to corporate formation. Motherhood Talk Radio will have best-selling authors, gurus of happiness, women of interest, who every single day make our world a better place for our families. Motherhood Talk Radio, powered by Motherhood Incorporated, is co-hosted by corporate executive Sandra Beck and stay-at-home mom Christy Holly. For more information on each and the show, go to motherhoodtalkradio.com. Mom, this really is your show. Motherhood Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Christy Holly. Tuesday afternoons at 6, 5 Central, part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com. Hey, you living the dream like Nina and Cindy?
Sweet dreams are made of these.
Were you shocked by the Chuck E. Cheese calamities, diaper dilemmas, and major mom minivan mishaps? Then get ready to share it with Living the Dream Moms with Nina Fry and Cindy Schmitzer, Thursday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet. And as Nina and Cindy say, if you're thinking it, we're saying it. It's your chance to discuss, share, and learn from two moms who have been there, done that, and yes, they have the t-shirts. And they're for sale at LTDCHIX.com. Living the Dream Moms is all about all things moms have to deal with daily. Nina and Cindy are two ordinary frazzled moms who admit when they need help and do their best to research and discuss topics that are not always talked about. Living the Dream Moms are just two real women who are discussing the trials and tribulations and triumphs of everyday mom lives. You are not alone. It's Living the Dream Moms with Nina Fry and Cindy Schmitzer. Thursday mornings at 10 Eastern, 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
Put a boot in your ass, it's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking her fist.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com, covering topics to help on the home front, with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now, let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Beck.
Courtesy.
Hey, military moms. This is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Tina Gonzalez. Tina, you with us?
Sandra.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh,
I'm
I was
here.
getting scared, thinking it was like the first segment. We're talking to dead air.
Nope, I'm here.
Nope, we're all good. Well, we are here today with Jeffrey Worthington. He's the founder and CEO of Worthington Media, and his organization has launched this iHistory project, which is super fantastic, and we're going to encourage everybody to go to his website and check it out the right way this time, as I'm going to give you the right domain. It's iHistory Project, just how it sounds, the letter I, History Project, WW2, the number 2.org. So that's iHistoryProject, WW2.org. I want to remind everybody today, this week, to get on Pepsi Refresh everything, and vote for Freedom Dogs. We're now at post 75. We were 95, so we've actually gone up 20 spaces in the past week, largely in part by our listeners going on and voting. Doesn't cost you anything. It's just a few minutes of your time to go in. They will not spam you, send you a bunch of junk. Just make sure you get on and vote for the Freedom Dogs. So, Tina, you want to tell me some things about stories, some great stories that are available today for today's show?
I heard a great one. I wanted to know if Jeff can give our listeners the story about Scotty Burroughs.
Yes, well, I'm glad you asked. And Scotty, as he liked to be called, was one of the veterans that has passed away since I interviewed him. And he was one of the more resilient men that I had interviewed during the war, and he had an amazing story that really started out where World War II started out, and that was Pearl Harbor. He was actually the bugler that played and was out in front of the flag at Pearl Harbor when the Japanese came over. And they actually didn't shoot at him, but he said there were some bullets that landed pretty close to where he was, enough to make him flinch just a little bit. But he was there, and he remembered almost as if it was yesterday the chaos of Pearl Harbor, where everyone was just running to and fro, trying to get back to their barracks, or if they're in the barracks, trying to get out back to the ship. And he pretty much described it as pure chaos. And one of the hardest things for him was playing taps for all the burial of the men that had died in the days and weeks after Pearl Harbor. And he very vividly, remembered being out there where they were burying them. That was something that was just really seared into his mind. And from there he went on and actually participated in some of the collecting of radios and signaling equipment from the American Japanese on the islands there. And after that, he was on a ship, and I apologize, I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was involved in over 15 battles in World War II, the second most decorated ship during World War II, and he was on it when it was struck twice by Japanese torpedoes, and he was able to survive and remembered just amazing stories.
Well, in these stories, Jeff, I was talking a little bit in the first segment when we lost you guys, and I had made a comment about, some of these guys haven't even shared their stories with their families.
Oh, absolutely. There was one of the veterans. He fought in the Pacific, and his family had no idea what he had no idea where he had served, whether he was in Europe fighting Hitler or whether he was in the South Pacific. And there is something about the veterans that I've interviewed that they're much more willing to open up to a third party. And where in many cases, veterans have never talked about it before to their family. And I'm not a psychologist, but I think there's just something that they don't want to open up themselves to people that they love so much, because they're afraid of how they'll react because of things that happened to them or things that they did. And so it's a lot easier to open up to a third party, which is one of the reasons that actually got me thinking about this YouTube project, because we really want to get those stories, and having a third party, particularly someone who's young, come in who has an interest in them and in their stories and in their buddies' stories. That's one other thing that veterans really open up when you ask them about their buddies during World War II, because they are an amazingly humble generation, and most of them, aren't really concerned about saving their own story because they don't view it as being that significant, but they want to tell their story for their buddies' sake.
It's just, it's so powerful. It's so, that you would give this story up to a young man with a video camera, prior to your whole lifetime of keeping quiet.
Yeah,
it
is. But, a lot of them, they're getting up there in age. I think minimum age now is in the mid-80s in order to be a World War II veteran. And, they're watching a lot of their friends pass away, and there seems to be a certain sense of urgency that's there now. Even just within the last couple of years, I've seen a lot more urgency than 5 years ago.
Sure. Well, especially memories fade, people get sick, these stories, they only live as long as the person living them can relay them to us. And
exactly.
It's a huge public service.
And there was, I think it was 1 year, a year or so ago, I saw this statistic that there were still 2.1 million World War II veterans left alive. 2.1 million. That is a lot if you divide it by states. And I think it would be an absolute shame to think that most of those are going to go untold. Probably, but that's why we're here today. We're here talking to Military Mom Talk Radio listeners that are military moms, because not only do they have children that might be interested in participating in the iHistory project, but you're from, a lot of our listeners, military families tend to, be military families for generations. And so it's our hope over here at Military Mom Talk Radio that some of the listeners today would check out this project and maybe talk to their teens and get them excited about interviewing, maybe grandpa or grandma. There's a lot of opportunity, or friends of friends and family, and start recording some of these things, because the raw footage goes somewhere. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Well, yes. The raw footage will be sent to the Library of Congress and submitted to their Veterans History Project. And they have been doing an amazing job over the last 10 to 15 years, I believe, of collecting veterans interviews from all wars. And I've gone out there and met with them a couple of times, and they are excited about this project, and they've caught the vision and see its potential. So we'll be working in cooperation with them in order to make sure that all of these interviews, that people collect, that they will get to the Library of Congress, and that they'll get processed and kept in our nation's permanent archives for future generations to see. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's such a good. It's just such a good project on so many levels. Now, what do you hope, for the teens that are participating in that? What do you hope they take away from this? I truly hope that they will, step away with a greater appreciation for just not our nation's history, but also help them realize that they have to look at today in perspective. The lines on the map, where countries are divided just didn't happen or have always been haven't always just been that way. That, there have been massive world events, particularly World War II, that have shaped our countries, that have shaped our allies. And I want them to walk away with a greater sense of history and realize, that these veterans aren't that different from today's generation. One of the things is that I've interviewed because you mentioned stories, there was a high school couple back in World War II, and they're still married. And we've talked with them and interviewed both of them together on how in high school their relationship was on again, off again, on again, off again, and then the war happened, and he was sent off to war. And he went from being the star quarterback who won the state championship his senior year, and she was one of the head cheerleaders. Both of them got separated by the war, and so they wrote each other back and forth during the war, and he ended up sending her a ring in the mail.
Okay, I'm going to call. I'm going to hold you. I'm going to cut you off here,
return.
Jeff, because we're going to go to commercial break. We're going to leave this as like one of those cliffhangers that we hate. But we are here with Jeff Worthington. He's the CEO of Worthington Media. He is the director of the iHistory project for World War II. You guys need to check it out. Jeff, what's the domain? It's iHistoryProject, WW2.org. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is correct. Check it out. Check it out. We're going to go to break now. When we come back, we're going to learn a little bit more about the competition and how you can get involved.
Are you a military mom? Looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? That's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Tina Gonzalez. And we'll be right back after these. Every woman wants to know how successful women manage their lives. So join host Sharon Silver for Getting to the Heart of the Matter. Every Thursday at 1 Eastern, noon Central, part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com. Have you ever wondered who the woman behind the family, service, or product really is? How she became an innovator? How she reaches out and connects with others? Or how do they do it all without sacrificing their family or themselves? Getting to the Heart of the Matter is for you. Sharon will interview guests who bring wisdom and sage advice. Sharon will interview all kinds of women, from everyday moms to extraordinary stories. Sharon gets to the heart of the matter by asking the big questions. How these women manage being a mom or a business owner or just being a woman. You'll hear how they prevent themselves from becoming workaholics either in their career or with their families and still find time to fulfill their quest for calm and personal fulfillment. For more information on Sharon, check out her website, proactiveparenting.net. Then be here for Getting to the Heart of the Matter with Sharon Silver. Every Thursday at 1 Eastern, noon Central, part of the Her Insight Network on TogiNet.com. Get ready for the Not So Soccer Mom, Tuesday afternoons at 1 Eastern, noon Central on TogiNet with Jill Hickey. You name it, from politics to pop culture to Jill's search for the perfect bronzer and chicken salad. The Not So Soccer Mom will weigh in on it all. The sentence, "I have no opinion about that," is one that Jill has never uttered. In the early 90s, Jill finally decided to put her thoughts, opinions, mom advice, love of pop culture, hummus, and Starbucks, working out, cosmetic shopping, and politics into an actual website, and thus NotSoSoccerMom.com was born. Shortly after her fourth child, a boy, Jerome, now she's really got tons of topics to share with you. This is Laugh Out Loud Funny, and we're not kidding. What's a loud Nebraska girl who lived in Little Rock for many years and now is up in the Northeast doing? Chronicling her opinions on everything. The wheels aren't off yet, but it's close. It's the Not So Soccer Mom with Jill Hickey, Tuesday afternoons at 1 Eastern, noon Central on TogiNet.com.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com, covering topics to help on the home front, with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sail at the BX. Now, let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Tina Gonzalez and Sandra Beck.
Hey, military moms. We are here with Tina Gonzalez. Hey, Tina.
I'm here.
You're here. And we're also here with our guest, Jeff Worthington. He's the founder and CEO of Worthington Media that spearheads this iHistory project that's so exciting. It's a project that takes the veterans of World War II and pairs them with high school students that interview them and, post the stuff on YouTube or submit it. That's why Jeff Worthington is here, and he's going to walk us through Jeff, how would you teach one of our moms listening today who has a teenage son or daughter who wants to participate in this? I mean, what do they need? What do they have to do? If they don't have a veteran in the family, where can they go to find some veterans to interview? Give us a quick rundown on what to expect.
Well, I would say the first thing would be to go to our website, which you have just mentioned, and go there and sign up for our newsletter. We don't have the information online right now, but pretty soon we'll be posting some help guides along that line. But until then, veterans are all over the place. The best place to start is, of course, your family. But then, start asking friends of yours, because if possible, you want one that you already have, a personal way in. You just don't want to be a stranger walking off the street, if possible. But if neither your family nor your friends know of any immediate ones, one of the best places is to start by contacting your local VFW or American Legion post. There's also Knights of Columbus in certain parts of the country, as well as Lions Clubs, also senior citizen centers. Contact the receptionist there, and they might be able to help put you in contact with some of these people.
That's a great piece of advice. Now, is this expensive for these, kids to get involved? I mean, is there a fee attached to it? Is there a cost?
No, it is. The competition itself is absolutely free. There is no charge for submitting anything, and of course, no purchase necessary because we're not selling anything. So it is free. The only thing that you need is really a video camera and a computer, or at least access to a computer that you can edit the video on.
So the video then, so let me get this right so everybody understands. You decide to be part of this project, you contact somebody to interview, and then you interview them, and then you take this footage and you convert it to a YouTube video to put up on YouTube, and then you send the raw footage to you, or the directions are going to be on the website at some point.
Correct.
Now, what about, what are some type of questions that you could guide our people in, what to ask? What are some good questions that you've asked in your documentary process and in doing your own interviews? And since we have a little bit of time, tell me the difference from the first interview you did to, recent interviews.
Well, I don't really want to go there. The first interviews were a little embarrassing.
Well, but it's important because, our kids are going to be out there.
Yeah, I understand. And, with the first interview, one of the things I did is I prepared questions, but I prepared way too many, and the interview went on for a couple of hours. And one big difference is that I'm a lot more precise and strategic in the questions that I ask now. And there's nothing wrong with getting a long interview. The more stories you can collect, the better. The only requirement the Library of Congress has is that there was a 30-minute interview submitted. So anything over 30 minutes is good. But some of the best stories that we've gotten are from questions along the lines of, what were the veterans' lowest points during the war? Or what Christmases do they remember? Find out if they were, in the South Pacific during the Christmas, or in the European theater, or maybe ask them about their last Christmas at home before they shipped out.
That's some great advice. And if they're good talkers, I think it's probably an easy thing. If they're not talkers, I know one thing about being an interviewer. I learned early on not to ask yes or no questions, because you want to get people to be talking about, sometimes asking questions like, what did you think about this, or, how did you feel, or what happened next, as opposed to asking questions that kind of lead nowhere. I think that's one of the things that could also help our young interviewers out there and the families that are assisting them, to get some really good material.
It kind of depends, honestly. Just kind of like what you said, there were, in regards to questions, yes and no questions don't do anyone very much good as far as interviews go. But be creative. Phrase the question, and it takes some work, and some practice. And you can even try, running through maybe the student in question can interview a sibling, ahead of time, and kind of get a feel for it. But yeah, that's kind of a tricky question to answer, I suppose.
Well, it's hard. I mean, it's like, we want the people listening today to have, the best possible opportunity for getting great interviews. Asking some questions, how would you open one of your interviews? How would you direct one of our, youth today to open, an interview on film? Do they start out saying, okay, today's date, and we're here with, and introduce the person they're interviewing, and then, I think for most people, when I talk about the iHistory Project, they always say, well, how do I get started? Where do I begin? What do I do first? And I think that's true of also the interviewing process.
Yeah, well, one of the first key steps is that, you set up the equipment, or as you're setting up the equipment, wherever you're conducting the interview, is to get the veteran, get to know them personally. Even sometimes I've recommended actually, inviting the veteran, somewhere for coffee or tea the day before the interview, so that you can run over some questions with them, so that way in the interview, you're not discovering their story, but when you interview them, you actually know some of their story, or at least, as much as possible, so that on the interview, you know what questions to ask. Were they in the Pacific Theater or the European Theater?
Well, that's such a great idea to get to know your guests beforehand. I think, spending a few minutes to talk to them also might help make your interview process go kind of more quickly and more smoothly, because you'll know what information you're really digging at to try to get captured on film, or I guess on videotape.
Correct. Yes.
Do you have any other tips? Any other tips for not only the young people that will be doing the videotaping, but for the moms that will be part of this project, helping their children or helping their teens along the way? Like what could a parent do in this situation, a mom specifically, to facilitate the process?
Well, a lot of it is just simply presenting it to the teens and really encouraging them to go out and do this. It's definitely a worthwhile cause. And, if you're a mom out there and you have, a teen who is of high school age and you want to know how to get them started on this, I would have them go to our website. We'll be adding some more tips and information as soon as possible. But yeah, really just get them going and, guide them into finding the veteran, making sure that they have access to a camera, and, helping them maybe come up with a question. One of the requirements for the competition, though, is that the student does have to be the creative lead for this mini documentary that they'll be making with the veteran. So the student does have to be the creative lead.
Well, and that's, it's important that you say that, because, this competition is for the student. But it's also, from a mom perspective, I can think about, getting your son or daughter involved with a grandparent or an aunt or uncle or a family friend. This could be an opportunity. Jeff, it sounds like, talking from you, you're a much different person going into the project and coming out of the project, you've had some amazing experiences, met some amazing people. This could be something that your teen, you could participate in with as a support person, but you guys could remember this the rest of your lives.
Absolutely. I think so. I just came back from a trip where I interviewed a couple more veterans and people over in England. And on that trip, I was talking with a lot of people about this iHistory project. And apparently over in England, it has been a popular thing for a very long time for students to go out and interview, whether in videotape, audio cassette, or just on paper, but to sit down and talk with their grandparents about their grandparents' experience during World War II.
So it's really important. You guys, I hate to cut you off, Jeff, but we're about 20 seconds before the end of the show. We're here with Jeff Worthington. He is the spearhead, or he's the, I don't know what you are. You're just the guru behind the iHistory Project, WorldWar2.org.
The guru,
check it out.
I like that.
The guru of iHistory. iHistory Project, WorldWar2.org. Check it out. Check out our site if you need more information. Thanks and have a great week.